Hi guys, welcome back to the Incredible Hulk podcast. This particular edition, we're talking about the the season 2, episode 3 story called Ricky, which was written by Jaron Summers and directed by Frank Orsatti. And incidentally, a little side note about Frank Orsatti: he also doubled stunt-wise for Bill Bixby in the Hulk as well. In case some of you guys didn't know that, so. That's quite cool. It starred Robin Matson as Irene, James Dalton as Buzz, and Mickey Jones as Ricky, and also Hulk regular Joel McRaney as Sam Roberts, the evil, not evil, but the rotter of the story in this. And he was a regular in the Hulk. He did 4 episodes of the Hulk, so he was quite a mainstay, as it were. I'm joined for this edition by my 2 friends here. I've got Graham here. How are you, Graham?
Evening, Frank. Good to be here, mate.
Thanks, mate. And also, I've got Tim here as well. How are you doing, Tim?
Yep, known to a lot of people as Beef. Hello, it's lovely to be here and chat about a very affectionate part of my childhood.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to be looking back at this now. No. Sorry, Graham, what were you going to say?
No, I was just about to say, the only time you'll hear me say anything positive about the colour green.
Well, I got my green top on there. That was just purely an accident, though. But yeah. So Ricky, made in it came out in 1978. It was Mickey Jones's first kind of like big role at that time, because he'd only been mainly doing stunt work. He was mostly known as it's the only time in the Hulk that he's ever had been without his beard, because he used to be cast as like a biker kind of character in the early films he's done. Consequently, he did one Hulk one where he was in a biker gang later on as well. But this is the first time he actually had like a big speaking role in the Hulk. And I've seen interviews with him, and he talks about it with great affection, that it was one of his favourite roles he ever did. That he was really happy for the break he got. So you guys, what do you think about, to start off about the opening part of Ricky? What are your thoughts about that, how it starts? It starts with a drag car race. I just wondered what you thought about it.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup. I mean, you've got stock footage and everything like that. I think, like you said, the director, he came from more of a stunt background, so probably this sort of setup also was quite well suited to him. I think this guy ended up directing 12 different episodes of the Hulk, more than anyone else of the roster of directors they had. And he was a stunt guy of such big stature. Not only did he double in season 1, but he also doubled for Arnie in the Terminator in the original movie as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you get an impression straight away that I think certainly with the crash and everything like that, you get the idea that Ricky is misunderstood. He's strong, but hasn't necessarily got the faculties to cope with the social situation. He has good intentions, probably mirroring what you've got an idea of as the Hulk as a character being. It has all this power and for want of a better description, with the mentality of a child, the aspirations are good. So it's a good setup from that point of view. I do like how it does, and then obviously it just you get your villain straight away when he says, "Get that retard away from the car." It's hard because we're looking at this of a prism of the sort of for the best part of nearly 40 years.
40 years, yeah. That's different terminology,
Attitudes towards mental health and everything like that are so much different now to how it was then.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Ryan, what do you reckon?
I do concur. You wouldn't get away with the word retard in 2017. Let's put it that way.
No.
Good setup, though. I agree with Beef. You've got the whole stock car footage, and within 2 minutes you've got your loving older brother race car driver and Buzz. You get 2 villains and the Roberts brothers, and you get introduced to Ricky through his naive innocence and just trying to help. Unbeknownst to him that they're obviously the rivals. They want to win the race. They want to, impress their sponsors, which was the tyre company, I believe, if I remember, the name escapes me. So they want the prize money. Ergo, they'll do it by any means necessary, even if they have to go through his older brother and the quote-unquote retard to get what they want. Unfortunately, byproduct of its time with certain aspects of it, but it was still good stellar TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I also love the way that no matter where David Banner turns up, sometimes you see him just arriving into a story, or other times he may be there a few weeks. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of set, the story's kind of set up already.
Mhm.
In this case, he's been there a little while and has got to know Ricky. I just love his empathy with whoever he meets, because he's got this awful problem himself that he has to live with. And therefore, I find that he's more emphatic with people because of that, maybe, you know, and wants to help them in many ways, you know. But how do you feel about that? Because he is a very sympathetic character, Banner. You know,
he is. I don't know. I find it a little difficult because it's quite strange in one way, because he wants to see the best in people and everything like that. But you don't feel bad for the brother, for Buzz, because you think Buzz is really in an unenviable position, that he's trying to do the best and make the best out of a bad situation. And he says that Ricky's already been in a couple of state-run homes and everything like that, and there's David Banner trying to get him into another sort of state-run program and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. I think the intentions in there, and the intentions are good. Whether now the message is, I think you try and get people to stay with their family and it's social inclusion, and maybe the done thing at the time was to try and get people into a facility then. But you can see the intentions are honourable, and I think he was trying to perhaps guide his brother into a better path, because he was sort of not a burden as such, but it was if anything, Ricky was the obstacle in his way. He was trying to get a house for him and Eileen. He was trying to move up to the next level in his racing career, but still being the primary carer for his brother. And he's not a villain, but it's you get it in a roundabout way, but it can be quite heavy-handed. I felt a little bit on it.
It was a bit, yeah. He got very sort of he had a very short fuse for the early part of the story with him a lot, didn't he? Everything. Ricky, get out of the way. Don't do that. Don't touch that. He was short shrift, but
Yeah. I mean, in a way, again, it goes in the time period the thing's supposed to be set in. Like Beef alluded to, if that happened today, it's integration into society. Back then, it's like, all right, I know he's a family member, but can we just push him to one side here so I can go and get a house with a girlfriend? By the way, Eileen, and she was a mechanic. Go figure. Come on, Eileen. But I was missing with a pair of dungarees. But no. You can feel empathy for Buzz in a way, but on the other hand, he really had a short fuse. David Banner trying to help out. Again, his intentions are noble, but he doesn't know the full extent of the family's background. So
indeed, yeah, that's right. Which he learns later on, of course. But but again, he was kind of like thrust into. He's always kind of thrust into situations quite rapidly, and help does his bit, then goes and off he goes again. I liked the part where Ricky wanted to be like his brother, and he wanted to.
He almost tops himself. Yeah,
goes into the get very cannily takes the key, and there he goes into the garage and gets in the car and revs it up, and he's having these visions of him driving around. He's waving at the crowd, and it was really beautiful. There was a lovely moment, touching moment when he was so excited and everything. However, it goes quite wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. But David, of course, saves the day, and that Hulk out I thought was a really good one. I like that.
Well, obviously there's the always evident the banging of the hand, and then
Then he sort of holds his face, and then
the ever so famous white eyes come to bear.
Comes the contacts.
I like the way that the sort of head sort of like rose inside the window frame to give the idea of the bulk.
The illusion is growing bigger.
But that's it, coming in and then just smashing the hood, and then
It was great, that,
puny car.
Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you what I did like about that Hulk, and it wasn't so much to save. It was the scene at the drinks machine afterwards.
Oh, that was lovely, wasn't it?
You're like,
how to open a can of soda.
What's he going to do? How's he going to open that can? His fingers are 10 times the size of that ring pull, man. You're like,
Big green, no love for vending machine. Yeah.
And like the way he just ripped the door off it, you know, and goes, "Oh, that's cool. Like, how do you do that?" You know.
And of course, you know, poor old, Ricky gets accused of busting the automobile.
Yeah, and in the doghouse again. Yeah, with poor Ricky.
But at the end of the day, like you say, Mickey Jones does a sterling job of sort of expressing sort of. It just through very little, and how he does it is a very accented performance.
Yeah.
Even in the scenes with the Hulk, it's sort of, you get the idea of the emulation, the hero worship, like you have in the car, like how people laughed at me because I didn't know how to open my can till Buzz taught me how to do it, and now I can do it all the time. So much that he's now imparting that knowledge onto the sort of. The child aspect to the Hulk as well.
I think what you're looking for is he portrays innocence so well. In a sense.
Mickey Jones, you mean? Or
Mickey Jones, yeah.
He did really well, considering that was his first sort of big role, and he was new to acting. Really, he was more of a stunt guy before.
And for a guy who's always considered as a redneck or a biker in most roles thereof.
He's normally cast as that, but this is like quite different for him, you know, this sort of gentle giant character, you know.
This is a departure from the Hells Angels.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what he was known more for afterwards, but not for that particular one. He's beardless and he's, you know. But what do you think of the Roberts brothers in their sort of like motivation and stuff, and the actors? Gerald McRaney particularly was a really good actor.
You know what? As I said before we began recording, excuse my language if I'm offended, they were the bastards of the piece, but at the same time, they were as thick as shit. They really were. It was like the Duke boys gone wrong. It really was, man.
That's it. I think that's what it is that they're cast to be like polar opposites, because you've got the two opposing teams, the goodies and the baddies, and they're both brothers as well, conveniently enough as well. So one of them you've got to get a good night's sleep before the night's racing, where the other one, he's up drinking beer till
4 a.m.
So it's sort of, there is something of the, I suppose, the comic book and everything about it, but that's the good thing about this show, I think, maybe as a whole and everything like that, is that superhero shows weren't a thing. You had before this, you had the Bill Dozier Batman, which is very campy and everything like that. You had the sort of Spider-Man TV series. This was the first time that you had a sort of superhero show that had caught kids' imagination, and I think something that Bixby realised was it had the ability to impart a message to kids as well. And this was a very much teach you a message type of episode. So I think you have to have the sort of the Roberts brothers, wanting to sort of be like the Dick Dastardly Muttley of the racing crew.
Appropriately at the racing, the wacky racing.
Against the two sort of good brothers, whether the
Starker brothers. There you go.
I mean, there's good acting. It's a good story, you know. It's a good story, some solid performance.
It's a good story, but at the same time, it's effectively simple as well.
Oh yes, absolutely.
You know,
Some were much more story detailed. There's other stories that are really, really, you know, like lots of different strands going on. Some of them were just a bit more straightforward. Others were just kind of like, you know, a run-of-the-mill romp kind of thing.
Relatively small cast as well, so that's good. Tight and compact, you know. So.
Yeah. And it breaks it up. Instead of having a bit where McGee is either chasing him or he's trying to find a cure for himself, he's trying to find help someone else. And like this, it's a case of there is a moral message. There is a moral core to this. It is as great as the music that Joe Harnell does as well. It is used really well, but it's really, really overstressing a point as well. You can tell where this is the emotion scene. This is the message. So the music it's really well placed, but it's very heavy. Like when you see him sort of, you get that realization from Buzz that there's more to Ricky than meets the eye, where he's rearranging the spanners on the walls. They're in sequence.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I like that.
That's the one thing I always liked about the Hulk TV series is you tend to find that 9 times out of 10 with film-based stories, that the sound score and the music drove some of the narrative.
Oh yes.
You know, so. That was no exception here. So
I was thinking about that. How amazing, really, Joe Harnell's work was throughout the whole run. I mean, he had a great way of conveying tension in the music. You know, usually when you knew there was a slow build up to David changing, you know, there was that urgent kind of orchestral beat, and it really got you. It really fired you. You know, got you in there. You know, and sucked you in to the drama of it. I thought he was amazing. That guy.
Well, yeah, you certainly get that towards the end of it, where you have, you know, obviously the boys have deceived Ricky to get him to actually take part in the
Demolition Derby
at the end of it. Yeah, you do, and you have all the cars going left, right, and centre, and then obviously it ends up in the big smash.
Yeah. You see, that for me is where they crossed the line. For the majority of the episode, all they wanted to do was win a race, and they were just trying to wreck the car or wreck the engine, or, you know.
Now they got too desperate and decided
flood the thing. And what did they do on race day? Let's take the kid with learning difficulties and bang him into a demolition derby. You don't even know if he can drive, for God's sake. I mean, you know.
They knew that was a death wish. They knew. I mean, I know they were a bit stupid, but they would have known that. You know.
Yeah.
All bets were off at that point. You know. Yeah.
But it does give the best Hulk out. I think the end part of that where the car is where
it rams into him.
Luckily, where he managed to just find a car laying around, it just happens to be very fortuitous for Mr. Banner.
Yeah. Although I've got to say, during that Hulk out sequence on the track, I loved how he was just walking up to the cars and just pushing them over, and as they were tipping there, it was as if it was just like a door creaking, and you're like, oh. Nice sound effect there.
Yeah, just but yeah, that's what you want. That is the one thing I do love about that. That's what you want to see, because up until that point, there are only 2 Hulk outs in this episode, and
with 2 Hulk outs in this episode.
There's not much. There's not much Hulk. Not much Hulk action.
Okay. It's Hulk light. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So by the time you get to the end of this, you want to when you see him in the car, you don't want to see him just like kick a door out. No, you want to see him bust through a roof, and yes, he does bust.
You want to see him flatten that car, smash the whole front end and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he's flipping cars left, right, and centre. Get out of my way. Yeah.
Then he's carrying Ricky. You know.
Yeah, we're not being funny. He's not a small guy, and I was wondering, is he going to come out just doing the sort of like cradling, but he has to do fireman's lift?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I did look very closely and say, oh, like is it like a fake body that he's going out? No, but it's really him. So fair credit to Lou back in the day, man. I'm sure Mickey Jones wasn't a light fella. He is quite large.
And I was watching, that scene where he's taking him away from the wreck, the wreckage, and then that explosion behind them.
Yeah.
You notice the delay in Lou's reaction. That's because of his hearing affliction.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't quite get the impact of that for a couple of seconds out. And then you see.
Well, exactly. I know it's probably just the way the camera lens was shot. But they didn't look too far away with it when that explosion went off either.
It looked pretty close. I mean, he did some hair-raising stunts, Lou, in that. Really, when you think about it. Because it was very difficult to get someone to double for him. I mean, he did have a double, I think, later on, but certainly the earlier stories, I think he did an awful lot himself, those stunts. And you think, hell, man,
it's by no means a small explosion, that's for sure.
No.
That was a hell of an explosion.
Yeah, no, it was.
Fireball.
The only thing, the only gripe I ever had about this series, and, fair play to Lou Ferrigno for putting up with it for 5 seasons and a couple of movies, was the wig. I don't know, man. It never seemed to sit in the same place every episode. Like, has that moved 10 degrees to the left? What the hell, man?
Yeah.
Although I just appreciate the fact that it greyed as the movies came into play.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well,
accepted it gracefully.
But I mean, you got to admire him really, because for each story, if you had to do 2 Hulk outs every episode, which was the regular thing, he may only be on screen for say 5 minutes in total, or something like that.
10 tops, yeah.
But that poor bugger had to stay in that makeup for maybe 12 hours a day, And
the makeup job.
He might just sit in his trailer for 12 hours before he gets called to do his little bit, and then he's back in there again.
And back when makeup wasn't as well designed, then that was heavy paint.
It was
grease paint, wasn't it? Some type of grease paint. Yeah.
And it took like several hours to put on, just as much to get off again, and it's just like having to hang around in that. Can't be too good, can it? 6 days a week or something shooting.
No.
So I admire him for doing that. It's good dedication to the cause. I give him that.
But there are a couple of nice little touches as well. I mean, you like we said, there's always the clever little parallel jokes as well that they make in it, or the little sort of nods. In the same way that when Ricky's watching the movie, he's watching the Wolfman. So it's the idea of the transformative man and everything.
Yeah, I like that. There's nice little nods there and stuff. Yeah.
Joke within the joke.
And the ending, you get what you want as well. The Roberts brothers are kicked out on their backsides.
No money for them.
Never come back again. But it is it's a bit bittersweet still, as you expect it to be for Mr. Banner. By the end of it, it's sort of like, will I ever get to see you again? No, but I will write to you. Whether he ever did write, you never know.
Who the hell? No, but I wanted these. David Banner walking away scenes towards, after a while, it was a bit like the littlest hobo, moving from town to town, and it's obviously wasn't it dark,
He goes again, does his bit.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I always did wonder though whether that little sort of the sculpture that he was making at the end of it, apart from being sort of very reminiscent of what would come later in the Hello music video from Lionel Richie, whether he was making a head of the Green Man, of the Hulk himself, to be honest with you, because it looks really blocky, so you never know.
Yeah,
that may have been the Hulk's head at the Ang Lee movie. Just saying.
Yeah, before the early stages of it, creating it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was a nice little story, and as you said, Tim, it did have it was a moral message they were trying to convey at that time when the attitudes were somewhat different to they are now.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. It's really interesting to watch it. I think now with how things are these days and seeing how things are then, it is a strange type thing because the people who you think are not so bad, you look at them a different way. You do look at the characters in a different way, but I think maybe designed for what it was, and I think that's the pure way to look at it. For me, certainly, because this was something that I grew up watching as a small child. So I was that target audience. You would come away from that knowing that the message that, hey, Ricky is different from you. But, Ricky is just like you. He's just not, good at other things. But there are other things that he is good at. Yeah. So it does teach a message. It uses the power of television for something good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that was something that Bixby realised himself, and as the show went on, and certainly how his involvement with the character as a whole, as time went on, he had a very definite idea of what he wanted the character to be, what he wanted the character to do, and realised the power that he had as an actor and with that character. And this is probably what the formative parts of it now, that you can impart a message, teach a lesson, and a superhero can be more than a superhero, even in his own respect, to be honest with you. So it's very clever television for its time and ahead of its time in that respect.
Yes.
Yeah, that, as much as Bill Bixby's David Banner lives a Jekyll and Hyde sort of existence, the same can be said for society back when this thing was broadcast. Just because somebody might not be necessarily good at something, everybody has them, these folks. And Ricky found us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Banner saves Ricky in a better way than the Hulk in this episode.
Yeah.
Is that Ricky pays them extra money into the broken machine for the Hulk's can.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you've got to pay for this one.
Yeah. He has to be completely good.
He has to talk good things. You still pay for it,
Yeah, and the other thing, although it would have been good to have had it done immediately after, but there is a bit where he completely mimics it. So where and I don't know whether Lou Ferrigno just does it himself, because he mirrors what Ricky does. So there's the bit where Ricky drops the can where he sees what happens, and then about 5 seconds later he drops the can.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like the whole Roy Schneider thing in Jaws with the kid at the table. Yeah.
He thinks it's the done thing, yeah. Because
Yeah.
He was going to follow him, and then he just goes off and was off. He was going because he was worried about him. You know, it was really nice.
I'm glad they didn't have him win the Demolition Derby, because that would have been too much of a Pat Happy ending. It really would have done, yeah. Yeah, it's like he was born to drive this car. Yeah.
The only question he didn't answer was what happened to Buzz, and obviously Buzz and Eileen lived happily ever after. He went to the Institute. How did they make ends meet? Did they get a new car? What the hell?
Well, presumably Allied Tyres went for them instead of the Roberts brothers. That's it. I would have done the can drop about maybe 10 seconds earlier, so I would have had it as like about 2 beats after it. Maybe after Ricky walked off, him dropping the can was too soon. I liked it where he staggers off anyway, and sort of like the shadow thing. That was a good idea actually. Is the shadow sort of changed and got smaller. I think that was a clever sort of bit of, like you said when in one of your early episodes, the cinematography. That's a clever trick to use without actually having to show it on the screen.
Yeah, there's some good little touches like that. A lot of the directors did on the show, done some really inventive camera work all the way through, actually.
Well, no, he took a karate chop. Was it? He walks in, gets a karate chop to the neck, and then gets covered over by a tarp. So
what the hell, man? You're like, really? Yeah.
Well, no. In previous episodes, it would have been that he would have just been laying on the floor, and then it's like, then he would have had to, David Banner throwing a whitey. I suppose.
Throwing a whitey,
Yeah, there's certain parts of the plot where they just had to knock him out for a little while, you know. So.
And convenient that Eileen found them, you know. What are you doing under that sheet? What happened again? Right.
Well, I've got to say, and that racetrack boss was the most understanding guy you can ever imagine.
Tell me about it, yeah.
Yeah,
they're not normally that understanding.
Well, you would have thought so, because he's a maintenance man who also works as a track marshal as well. So it's a track marshal, maintenance man. But don't worry, I can afford you loads of time off to go and get spare parts and work all night helping to fix the car after you've poured epoxy into it. Yeah, that's your definition of an understanding boss. Really,
just on one condition: have my truck back at the appropriate point by a certain time.
Yeah, Halt, love, NASCAR.
Although what kind of racing track has legit races and a demolition derby on the same body track in the same day? Just saying.
I think you still get it over here to a certain degree. They call it stock car, don't they? I think
stock car.
Yeah. Stock car racing. Yeah.
Whether they still do the demolition, I suppose they do. It's like, I think what you have is you have like a car and you have a second car for your demolition derby type stuff.
And all the right-half motor just get thrown into the demolition derbies, obviously, right? We'll give you some money for some scrap, right? Destroy that thing. You know.
So that's still a big thing over in the States now. Do they still do all that?
They still do NASCAR. I don't know how big demolition derbies still are due to insurance and all that, but I think they still do them from time to time.
I think it ties up with a monster truck Sunday.
Yeah, Simpson style, So there you go.
Yeah, that's it. It's well framed and everything like that. You've got two brothers. You've got the hero worship of. Because the thing is that's the thing. Do you get the idea whether Buzz is the younger brother or the older brother? I think he's the younger brother.
You think so?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Was it conveyed? I mean, there was the portion where he said that the parents were died by the time Ricky was 16, but I don't know.
And he was, that's it. And he said he was in the army, so maybe then Buzz was the older brother. Yeah. So that was it. And I suppose
a few years.
Then that makes sense, though, that there's that element of hero worship that Ricky has for his brother.
Yeah.
So that's why he sees everything he does driving the car, which is what he mimics when he's doing the demolition derby.
Yeah.
He wants to, he makes believe he's driving the car and everything like that. Why he turned the engine on when he was going and making all the car noises, that's another great thing.
I think it was accidental, with like shutting his eyes and doing all that stuff and he might have just did they know
because it switches, isn't it?
It was switching. It wasn't a key. It wasn't an ignition.
Yeah, he was just so into it and fantasizing. He wasn't aware of what was the danger around him.
So there you go.
Yeah. So I want to thank you, fellas, for joining me. It's really been a pleasure. And
been the boss, man.
We'll be back soon with some more. I hope you gentlemen will join me again down the line for some more.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I want to thank you guys for listening as well. So take care and thank you.